I've been working as a lawyer in Karachi for about 6 years now. My strength lies in litigation. We do a bit of corporate work also for some pharmaceuticals, some multinational companies, and some local businesses also. Mostly I do litigation at the Sindh High Court. There are two areas of practice essentially after you've done your education. You can either choose corporate work or you can choose litigation. Some people end up doing both. Litigation simply means that you plead cases on behalf of other people. You have to prepare cases, you have to prepare the evidence and everything, and then you have to present that in court so that in order to get some relief for your client. Corporate work essentially entails more like drafting, vetting of agreements, looking at the corporate side of work, maybe mergers. Corporate work also entails some litigation in the sense that there also you may have to present matters before authorities, for example the SECP if you're going for a merger. At the end of the day, whatever you do, you have to get or protect rights, either get rights of your client which he's been deprived of, or protect them if he already has them. This is what law is about. In Pakistan, mostly law is chosen as a backup profession for many of them because of the local educational standard. It's easy to get in, easy to get the degree. Unfortunate as that may be, but that is how it is. Even though it's a first-rate profession all over the world. During my academic years, I found that I was better at sociology, law, literature, all of those subjects that work with the intellect. When your aesthetics, when your arts and literature, that side is stronger, then it's a good profession. Law only challenges you intellectually. You have to plead intellectually, you have to work intellectually. It's a lot about philosophy, philosophy of life, social philosophy, how to regulate our life, how to regulate our work. It's all about that. Fighting for those rights gives you a sense of satisfaction that no other profession does. And to be honest, it's not bad money either. It's a lot of struggle, but at the end of the day, there are no limits. There's just no cap to earning, there's no limit to earning. It has good potential, and then you feel very empowered. That's the idea. That is what is most fascinating about the law. When you have the power of knowledge behind you of your exact rights, then what you can achieve for yourself and for the people is just, there's no limit to that. Look at many top leaders of the world, they all have law backgrounds. So all of that was in my mind. Not that you necessarily have to go into politics, but the idea is that these people are able to achieve things not because they're good warriors or good fighters or good soldiers or good doctors, but because they could argue well. You need to ascertain whether you want to pursue this profession or not. The idea is you get internships. There are many law firms. You apply to them. Maybe you know a lawyer, a family lawyer. Just go and get an internship there, visit the courts, see what they do. It looks very glamorous from the outside, but you need to get inside any place to find out whether you will be interested in it later or not. Then you have to choose your university. Obviously, we have adopted our legal system from the British legal system, and the laws that are drafted here find their roots in the English legal system. There are several options. There are several universities in Pakistan that offer the law. The standard that the local universities are providing is not that great. Unfortunately, we've killed our legal system over the past 10-15 years. However, that being said, there are some brilliant lawyers that still come out of those universities. So, looking at your personal financial position, if you can find the financial resources and the academic background, then the best place to go for your bachelor's, for your LLB, that's what the bachelor's is the United Kingdom. What the LLB does is it's an academic qualification only. You can go there right after your A-level. There is more recognition in our system of the British legal system. If you want to work in the West, the LLB is not enough. You need to get a practical degree also. Or in the West, you'll become a solicitor after you do this. But if you want to come back to Pakistan and practice here, then essentially the Bar Council recognizes your LLB and gives you the right to practice in the lower courts in the beginning. If you want to pursue litigation only, then you go ahead and do your BPTC. This is the bar practitioner's course. Basically, they trains you to become an advocate, and after you do your bar and you do your pupillage, you get a chance to practice, all right, and go to court. That could be either in the United Kingdom or in Pakistan. There are hundreds and hundreds of lawyers, and they keep pouring in. But as law has always, historically, has always been seen as a backup profession in Pakistan, where you don't end up doing anything, you become a lawyer. The quality of lawyers is not that great. So if you actually choose this profession, work towards it, be passionate, work hard, then there is no saturation at all. There's a great dearth of lawyers, and they're badly needed. There's no low and there's no high. But generally after LLB, because you don't know anything, you can expect 10-15,000 at best. This is for the first 10 months or so. Once you get your license and you're able to get your own cases, depending on the law firm you're working for, or maybe you end up starting your own practice, then there's just no limit. It all depends on your clientele. It depends on what firm you end up with. So I'd say from 5,000 to 60,000, 70,000 in the beginning. 10 years down the line, if you're doing well, millions a month. Essentially how the day is that you go to court in the morning. I'm talking about litigation lawyers. You go to court in the morning, especially if you have cases fixed, and the court starts at 8:30. So let's say you get done by 2:30, 3. Then you go to the office, meet clients, prepare them for cases that are coming up, give them details, feedback. You start preparing for new cases to be filed. Obviously your team's working on it, you review them, you draft them, you okay them for further filing. It's laborious. Law is not like any profession, any work. You have to put in effort. It's not a walk in the park. In the beginning of your career, you work harder because you're trying to get a grip of things. As time passes and you gain some expertise in a particular area where you're getting cases, then it becomes easy. You know the case law. You just need to update yourself. You become an expert. Basically, any kind of person can become a lawyer. It's just about finding the right field within the law. Let's say if you are a tax lawyer, then maybe if you're not even that social, it would be fine. Introvert, extrovert, all kinds of people have done well. It's just about being passionate about it. That's the great thing about law. It encompasses every detail in life. For example, in family law, mostly female lawyers do well. There's no particular trait that you require to be a lawyer because the field is so vast. It can encompass anyone and everyone of all kinds, all backgrounds, any education that you have. You could be an engineer, you could be a doctor, everything helps in the law. So there are very successful lawyers, especially globally, who, for example, did their electronics and then they went into litigation, and now they have a formidable practice in, let's say, engineering law. Or for example, if you were a doctor, a medical doctor, and then you ended up doing LLB and entering practice, you could have a great medical negligence practice. For example, if you've done something in chemical engineering, then you could have a very formidable practice in, let's say, patent laws. Any background, any interest, everything comes in handy. From medicine to maths to philosophy to history to literature to poetry, everything would. Because that's the greatness of the law. It's about life, your general regulation of life. If I were given a choice, and let's say I can go back in time, I would still choose law. Work is about making money, and if I was not making money doing law, then obviously I would have had to choose some other forum. I've seen people who have joined law, they've not found it interesting, they've gone ahead and done their CSS, for example, joined government service, they're happy there. There are people who've joined business after this and they're very successful there. They've found the experience that they've had with the law to be very benefiting in other fields also, just because law gives you an experience about life generally.